Centuries ago, there was a city shrouded in darkness and cruelty. Within the palaces and alleyways, secrets were kept that only the walls knew. Among these secrets, none was more terrifying than the story of a woman whom people only whispered about as the Princess of the Mirror, a beauty whose intellect and charm made her both admired and envied. Her beauty was said to stop hearts in mid-beat, and her cunning intelligence intimidated even the most powerful men in the city. But her very perfection made her a target. One night she was summoned under the guise of honor, but it was a summons to death. The city's rulers had decreed that she would face a punishment so cruel and rare that even history itself would shiver at its memory. She would be burned inside a mirror. The mirror brought into the chamber was no ordinary glass. Known as the Angel's Mirror, it was said to trap the essence of human life, magnifying pain and fear. It reflected not just the body, but the soul, a cursed relic that only the bravest or most foolish dared to use. The princess was led to the center of the room. Nobles, masked guards, and silent witnesses formed a circle around her. Her eyes, wide with both terror and defiance, met the mirror's shimmering surface. Slowly, the glass began to glow, emanating a strange heat, as if the light itself carried malice. The room seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Shadows danced across the walls, distorted reflections flickering. The princess's heartbeat thundered in her ears, but escape was impossible. The room had become a prison of mirrors and light. Then the punishment began. The heat of the mirror seemed to reach into her very being, twisting reality. The glass captured her reflection, magnifying her fear, her pain, her beauty all at once. Every flicker of flame inside the mirror was a heartbeat of horror. Witnesses claimed that her screams echoed silently, haunting even the angels above, so vivid and horrific that legend says even angels looked away. The air grew thick with smoke and fear. Some guards, unable to bear the sight, fled the chamber, but the princess remained caught in a trance between life and the mirror's curse. It was not only physical torment. It was psychological, emotional, and supernatural all at once. The chamber had become a place where human will met mystical horror, and history had decided to remember it as one of the cruelest punishments ever devised. The story of the Princess of the Mirror was not just about death, but the relentless crescendo of fear, pain, and inevitability, the kind of punishment that haunts memories and inspires legends centuries later. The chamber was suffocating with heat, the mirror radiating an unnatural glow that seemed to devour the very air around it. Princess of the Mirror's reflection flickered violently, her body tense and trembling, yet her eyes still held a spark of defiance. For those standing around, the scene was terrifying, a mortal trapped between the known and unknown, human beauty and supernatural horror. The mirror's curse began to intensify. Flames seemed to crawl within the glass, licking her image, yet without touching her physical body. The chamber's temperature rose, shimmering waves of heat dancing in the air, distorting the walls. Every flicker of light revealed not only her torment, but the horrifying duality of life and reflection. The nobles whispered, barely daring to breathe. Some shielded their eyes, while others stared in morbid fascination. Princess's mind raced. She remembered the tales whispered by her mother, stories of cursed relics and mystical punishments, but nothing could have prepared her for this. It was not simply heat, it was a living force. A mirror that consumed essence, feeding on fear and amplifying it. Each heartbeat echoed inside the glass, as if synchronized with the fire, creating a symphony of terror. Suddenly, the mirror pulsed, and the room seemed to warp. The reflection of the princess multiplied across the shards, each version screaming silently, some twisted in agony, some frozen in terror. It was a visual cacophony, dozens of herselves trapped in infinite torment. Her screams, though muted by the curse, resonated in the soul of the onlookers. For a moment, reality and reflection merged, and all present felt the chill of witnessing a human being unravel before them in a way that words could never capture. As minutes passed, the mirror's wrath escalated. Sparks of light erupted from the glass, dancing across the chamber walls, leaving ghostly patterns on the faces of nobles and guards. Her shadow twisted unnaturally on the floor, elongated and broken, as if the room itself had become an accomplice to the curse. Some of the more sensitive witnesses fainted, while others could not look away, hypnotized by the horrifying beauty of the punishment. Princess of the Mirror's spirit began to push back, subtle but undeniable. She focused every ounce of her willpower, trying to sever the mirror's grasp, even as her reflection's screams threatened to drown her sanity. It was a battle between human resilience and a mystical instrument of cruelty. And though her body was unharmed physically, every nerve screamed as if burned by invisible flames. Then came the horrifying revelation. The mirror was not merely reflecting her, it was absorbing her essence. Every glance she made, every flinch, every tear, was etched into the glass, stored in its cursed memory. For the onlookers, it was terrifying to realize that her soul was slowly becoming a part of the mirror, a permanent echo trapped for eternity. Legends would later say that those who gazed upon the mirror saw not the princess, but glimpses of her torment, reliving her final moments in nightmares and visions. In the room's climax, the mirror erupted in a blinding flash of light, a heat wave so intense it made everyone step back. When the brilliance subsided, Princess of the Mirror appeared unchanged physically, yet her eyes had deepened, reflecting not only fear, but a haunting knowledge of the supernatural. She had survived in form, but a part of her soul remained fused with the mirror, forever a reminder of the horror it contained. Witnesses whispered in awe and terror, some kneeling, some trembling, as they realized the punishment was not just physical, but eternal. Even centuries later, historians would write of this execution, not merely as a death, but as a lesson of divine horror, a mystical punishment so profound that even angels looked away. The chamber had finally quieted. The blinding light of the mirror faded, leaving the room bathed in an eerie glow. Nobles and guards, still trembling from the supernatural spectacle, looked on in silence. The Princess of the Mirror stood alone, her body unharmed, yet something fundamental had changed. In her eyes lingered an ancient knowledge, a haunted awareness of the forces that had touched her soul. Though her physical form remained, part of her essence was trapped forever within the mirror, a fragment of life suspended in glass, a permanent echo of her agony. The witnesses knew immediately that history had recorded not just her survival, but a warning. The mirror's curse was eternal. No one dared touch it again, and yet curiosity lingered, whispered from generation to generation. Outside the chamber, the city seemed to shiver. People claimed the air itself had shifted. Shadows appeared longer. Whispers traveled faster, and even the bravest soldiers confessed to seeing faint silhouettes of the princess moving in corners where no one stood. Scholars and mystics would later debate whether the mirror had truly absorbed part of her soul, or if it had merely amplified the natural fear and awe surrounding her punishment. The legend of the Princess of the Mirror spread quickly. Parents warned children, scholars wrote treatises, and artists painted her story, her suffering immortalized in tapestries and manuscripts. Some claimed that those who gazed too long upon the mirror saw fleeting images of her torment, a twisted beauty trapped in a flickering reflection, staring silently back, whispering a warning from beyond. But the true horror was not only in what had happened to her, but in what remained afterward. The mirror, now silent yet still pulsating with latent power, became a symbol, a reminder that some beauty and brilliance are too potent for the mortal world, and that envy and fear often manifest in unimaginable cruelty. Even centuries later, explorers and historians visiting the ruins claimed an almost imperceptible heat emanating from the glass. A soft whisper of screams carried on the wind. The Princess of the Mirror never recovered completely. Though she lived out her remaining years in isolation, haunted by shadows and reflections. Her story became an eternal legend, a tale of supernatural punishment, resilience, and horror so profound that it blurred the line between reality and nightmare. And so, history remembered her not merely as a victim, but as a living warning. Power, beauty, and fear combined could invoke forces beyond comprehension. The mirror remained locked, a mystical prison of light and flame, ensuring that even those who survived physically would forever bear the mark of its curse. The story concludes with a chilling thought. Some punishments are not meant to end life. They are meant to leave a shadow on eternity.